Episode 1 of the Testaments begins in Gilead, for years after the Handmaid's Tale finale. For those unaware, Gilead and most of the United States was under the control of a totalitarian regime. Despite a dedicated resistance movement, Gilead maintains a strong grip on its population, especially the women. In the present, we catch up with Agnes, June's daughter. At this point in time, June is still trying to get her daughter back, but that's easier said than done, given she's right in the heart of Gilead. Agnes isn't sure what year it is, given women are forbidden from having calendars. In fact, just looking at one could cause you to lose a finger. In the present, we catch up with Agnes, June's daughter. At this point in time, June is still trying to get her daughter back, but that's easier said than done, given she's right in the heart of Gilead. Agnes isn't sure what year it is, given women are forbidden from having calendars. In fact, just looking at one could cause you to lose a finger. The verdict is still out with Daisy and whether she's truly a Pearl or a rebel, but seeing her shocked and disgusted at the abuse inflicted, while the rest of the girls watch on, is definitely a moment that helps humanize her. With several other episodes released today, thankfully we've got plenty of time to see where this story goes next. I read the Testaments from Margaret Atwood shortly after it was released. And while I had some issues with it, and those issues definitely carry over into the show, I still admire the way she has created the world of Gilead and the warning about political and religious extremism she offers in her writing. So, I was excited to see Bruce Miller's take on the material. Now, let's get into the first episode of the Testaments, Precious Flowers. The opening of the Testaments catches us up, where we were following the events at the end of The Handmaid's Tale. The on-screen text tells us that Gilead was in most of the United States and was the result of a panic about plummeting birth rates. It also says that even with the resistance movement, the control over women remained. And it closes by telling us that even the daughters of the most important commanders in Gilead were subject to the violence of the government, but that these women would change history. After a sweeping shot of a beautiful home, the camera transitions inside to a model of the same house and the voice of Agnes, Chase Infinity. She explains that she believed in Gilead at one point because it was easier to accept a story rather than believe that the people are monsters. She shares that she doesn't know exactly what year it is because girls were forbidden from having calendars. In describing her dollhouse, we understand the ways that people are segregated in the homes in Gilead. Agnes also shares that she is a plum, meaning a girl who has not yet had her period. She says that everyone wants it, and they are also afraid of getting it. We then meet Paula, Amy Simetz, Agnes's stepmother. As Agnes continues describing her dollhouse, we understand that she does not like her stepmother, fantasizing about locking Paula in the attic, even laughing as she screams to be let out. Agnes explains that she was born in this sinful before world, meaning that she was born before Gilead was established. If you squint a bit, the Testaments at least resembles a YA drama, a coming-of-age tale about a teenager navigating the perils of adolescence. It's not, obviously. It's a very bleak dystopian drama about systemic misogyny and oppression and religious extremism, but the ways in which it adopts, contorts, and subverts the expectations of a teen show are part of the pleasure of Episode 2, Perfect Teeth. Even that title is a trick, evidence of good oral health being deployed as a leering reminder that men in Gilead are divinely ordained to see women as their property, and that aging into adulthood is a process of increasing vulnerability. Thanks to the development at the very end of the premiere, Agnes finds herself having suddenly crossed this transom from child to adult, from off-limits to fair game. Despite the framing of a menstrual cycle as a stamp of approval from God himself, Agnes is both ecstatic and scared to death in equal measure, as well she might be. It is, as she points out, hard to tell one from the other. In the premiere, Paula was presented as a pretty uncomplicated Cinderella-style wicked stepmother, but Perfect Teeth plays with this idea a bit. Don't get me wrong, I still don't trust Paula as far as I can throw her, but do I detect a little bit of genuine contrition here? In Rose's absence, it's Paula that Agnes turns to for help and advice with her period, and she provides it, explaining how wings work and how Agnes's responsibilities are morphing, and passing on a thoughtful gift from Agnes's adoptive mother, Tabitha, which isn't the kind of thing you'd expect her to do. Don't get me wrong, Rosa's temporary absence made me worry that Paula had ordered her death, as she had implied she might in the previous episode, thanks to her dodgy leg making her a lame horse. So we mustn't lavish Paula with praise. But Amy Seimetz is doing something interesting with the performance. It's like she has seen the future, which in a way she has, and knows what's coming for Agnes now that she has come of age. Undeniably, though, there's a sense of warmth between Agnes and Rosa, who took care of Tabitha while she was dying, that isn't there in Agnes's relationship with Paula. Aunt Lydia's school makes a massive deal of plums becoming greens. The student rings a bell to inform the rest of the school that they have flowered, and they're lavished with attention and praise. Agnes is so eager to do this that she blows off Daisy's attempts to cling to her, which backfires pretty much immediately. Right after receiving her badge, Agnes is dragged to the corrections department in the aunt's wing, where a gagged Daisy is being held after confessing to having used the Lord's name in vain. We know this, of course, since it happened in the previous episode and Agnes was privy to it. Annoyed by Agnes blowing her off, Daisy had confessed her sins to an aunt. And sins need correction, which in this case takes the form of the other girls viciously chanting, "Dirty girl," in Daisy's face, with Agnes leading the charge since Daisy was her responsibility. In her narration, Agnes confesses to feeling shame about how much she misses this process, like the punishment of the man in the previous episode, which was cheered on with almost animalistic frenzy. The girls are framed as monstrous here, their viewpoints so warped by the rigorous standards of Gilead's conservative dogma that their only outlet is extreme bouts of punishment and violence. Once again proving that she doesn't quite fit in, Daisy rats out Agnes, telling the aunts that she heard her blasphemy and didn't report it. As a consequence, both are forced to clean their teeth and wash their mouths with soap, which Agnes is fuming about. Her reaction highlights her naivete, much like her confusion about Daisy's disgust over the premier's punishment did. Episode 3, Daisy, is probably my favorite episode of the Testaments this season. Daisy is a fascinating character, so actually getting to know more of her backstory is very cool. So, let's dive right into it. The episode starts with the Pearl Girls out harvesting honey from the beehives. Daisy is providing the voiceover this season, and she starts by talking about how they studied Gilead in school when she was in Toronto. She talks about how, though it seemed like it happened overnight, there were signs like how candidates spoke openly about women and gays before Gilead happened, but were still elected. We then flash back to Daisy on a skateboard in Toronto, heading to the same shop she was at the end of episode 1. Two Pearl Girls are leaving some pamphlets with the owner, and then they give her a gift of honey. A man enters the store, and we find that he and the owner are Daisy's parents. Her mother asks if she needs birth control for her relationship with her boyfriend Justin Finlaird. Daisy says that they aren't having sex, and then leaves. We then cut to Justin and Daisy at a park, smoking a joint and talking about how they are, in fact, having sex. Daisy said she feels bad about lying to her mom and thinks she'll come clean, even if it was just so they could do it at her house instead. He then gives her an old radio, the same one we see her using later in Gilead. She leaves the park and heads home, only to find that the store they own has been broken into and her parents have been murdered. Back in Gilead in the present, the Pearl Girls load the honey onto a truck and then serve the aunts. Aunt Vidala is making plans for the rest of the day. Aunt Gabbana says that 3 of the Pinks have become close friends, and Vidala says that can't be allowed to fester. She then calls to Daisy to go find Agnes and accompany her on a field trip. We then hear the aunts asking Vidala if Lydia intends for all of the Pearl Girls to be paired with Commander's daughters. She says that she expects most of them to be Econo-wives, a class who marry someone who is not a commander and therefore a lower station, and that the whole program confounds her. The others then say, "Far be it from us to criticize Lydia's intentions." The Plums are visiting Penny Juddy, Ellen Olivia, the wife of Commander Judd, to see how a household is run. Daisy can see that Agnes is interested in her guardian Garth. Agnes sees Daisy looking at him and chastises her, calling her a slut. Their conversation is cut short when they see armed men outside of the bus and cars pulling up around them, boxing them in, at which point people begin shooting at the bus. Daisy pulls Agnes to the ground just as a bullet comes through her window. The girls are escorted off the bus, and we see bodies on the ground. We then flash back to Daisy identifying her parents' bodies after the attack in Toronto. A social worker gives her some tea and goes to find her phone. While he's gone, June comes in and sits beside Daisy, saying that she needs to come with her. She throws away the tea and tells Daisy that she's in danger. They hide in a stairwell, and June tells Daisy that the store wasn't robbed, but rather that her parents were intentionally murdered. June says that she was a friend of Daisy's parents. The show then moves back to the present. Agnes thanks Daisy for shielding her during the attack. We see that there were some injuries. Hulda's face was hurt, and Aunt Vidala's arm was broken. Daisy asks who did it, and Shunammite says that it was Mayday, and Becca adds that they are godless people who hate Gilead. The girls then quietly whisper about seeing the stomach of a guardian who is being treated for an injury. The girls wonder about hair on his stomach, and Daisy shares what she knows, since the girls are given no information about bodies. When they ask how she knows, she jokes that she had sex with thousands of men, and then says that she went to the beach and saw men shirtless. Back in Toronto, Daisy is trying to sober up. June wants her to eat something, and Daisy just wants to call her boyfriend to check in with him. June says she needs to eat first, and then Daisy asks who would murder her parents. June says that it was Gilead because they were working with Mayday. Daisy doesn't believe that her parents could be spies, and June tells her that she doesn't know everything about them. Daisy is insistent that she needs to talk to Justin, but June tells her that part of her life is over. Daisy tries to leave, but June stops her, telling her that she needs to eat something.